let me share my funk. I'm going to share the personal story about why I was in a funk.
Okay.
So on July 21st, 1985, I had a very dear friend who was raped and murdered, and I was 15 years old at the time. And sorry to just drop that bomb just like that, but this was a significant event in my childhood that really, in part shaped who I am today.
Yeah, you were 15 years old, right?
I was 15.
Yeah.
And I was actually out of town when it happened. I was visiting my grandparents in Connecticut for my birthday, which was July 22nd. And that was the day that they found Christie Wesselman. And I got the phone call from my parents that evening letting me know. So, at the age, I'm not sure there's any age that would allow someone to, figure out how to handle that. Because it is as tragic as you can imagine. So I didn't handle it well, as would be expected, and for a number of years, I didn't handle it well. I had a lot of anger. You talk about having a bad day. I had a lot of bad days, and used that as really the reason for me to have bad days.
Mm-hmm.
So it was probably 15, 16 years before I finally kind of dealt with that. Because, that was back in the day where the schools didn't just send in the counselors to help us all. So we all kind of just had to figure out how to get through it on our own.
Mm-hmm.
So why am I bringing this up? Well, about 2 years ago, the guy who killed her was found through DNA. And it was just seriously a miracle. It was great work by our former state's attorney of DuPage County, who helped to pass legislation that required anybody who had a violent felony as a condition of parole, they had to submit their DNA. And that's exactly what happened with this guy. He had committed another violent act against his wife at the time. Mm-hmm. So they forced him to give a DNA sample as a condition of his parole. And when that match came through, that was in September 2 years ago, it seriously, it just rocked all of our worlds, because we never thought, that's 30 years after the date that she was murdered, we got word that there was a DNA match. So absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Fast forward, it took almost 2 years of preparation to get this ready for trial. Trial was supposed to start on Tuesday of this week. So I booked my flights to go out, and everything was set. The entire case hinged on his DNA, because that was really the only evidence that was supportive of a conviction. They were also going to bring in some past violent crimes, some victims who he had hurt badly. What surprised all of us is that out of the blue, I got a phone call on Wednesday night from a good friend who said, you've got to get on an airplane and come out here Thursday morning because he's pleading guilty. And so he actually pled out, and he received 80 years, which is going to be a lifetime in jail for him.
Yeah, because he's what, 60?
He's 64
or something like
64.
that now?
So at his first eligibility for parole, he'd be 104, and you can trust me on this, that man will not live even close to that long. So I flew out on a moment's notice, and I went and was there with the family and friends for that guilty verdict. And then this past week on Tuesday, so as of this recording, we're on Friday right now. On Tuesday was the sentencing hearing. Mm-hmm. Everything went just as it should. He got his 80 years. A number of my friends and Christie's family got together and celebrated the closure of this really horrific situation. And so it was, 2 days after that I just found myself just really struggling. Mm-hmm. Just feeling off, feeling down, feeling sad. And I know that the reason that I was feeling that is because I was thinking so much about all of that. And I was putting myself back in 1985 and reliving a lot of that emotion. So it was no wonder that I was having a down day. Mm-hmm. I knew that I had to. You get to
have a down day about that.
I think I certainly deserved a down day, and part of that too is just really thinking about the family and what
you're having a down day.
Just
think about that story.
Yeah.
Think about the parents that have to go through that. 33 years later, that's pretty incredible. So
both her mom and her dad were there for that.
You had all the right in the world to have a down day, and you did.
And you were very, very supportive. Rather than try to pull me out of it, as maybe you would typically do, you just really let me be exactly where I was in the moment. And I was aware of the fact that I was having a down day. And I even said to myself, and I think I even said out loud to you, look, I probably need to be really kind to myself right now and just let this be whatever it is. But I knew the strategies to get myself out